for dreamers. Where you wanna be? Join in, connect with us. Join in, and you can see what's up. Join in, so connect with us. Join in. Oh, It goes A-Spire, EM-Spire, DreamSpire. Books for authors is on fire. A-Spire, the magazine for you. We got art and entertainment, celebrity news. M-Spire for entrepreneurs and motivators. It's demonstrated. See how they made it. DreamSpire TV is where you want to be. Extraordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Mays, and I'm your host of the Authors Lounge. Don't you go anywhere because we will be right back after this advertisement. Hi, I'm Cheryl Mays, and I am your host for the Authors Lounge. And I am so excited to bring to you today our kickoff show on DreamSpire TV. So you are in for a treat because we have not one author, but we have several authors from an anthology. So you are going to hear from them. You're going to hear their hearts, their motivation, their inspiration, and why they wanted this book to get into your hands. So stay tuned. And don't go anywhere because I have their coach is actually going to come up first, Alondria Lloyd from Writer's Block, and she's going to share with us the journey that they took in order to get to where they are today, because she was instrumental in making that happen. So with that, I'm going to bring on Alondria Lloyd.
Hi, Cheryl.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to have you because you and I had a conversation several weeks ago when you were actually on a show with me.
Yeah.
So welcome back and to the new show. I am so excited because you are the owner of Writer's Block, LLC. And so just kind of tell us what that is and how we got here today.
Okay. So at the Writer's Block, I help aspiring authors finish books in less than 30 days and become published authors within 90. And so I offer book coaching services, individual publishing deals, as well as anthologies, which is why we're here today.
That is so awesome. So you stay pretty busy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so today you have with you now for an anthology. And just define for us, what's an anthology?
An anthology is a collection of testimonies written by a group of like-minded women who would like to come together to share, whether it's personal testimonies or, their experiences in hopes of empowering and impacting the lives of other women.
And so this is a group of individuals. And for this book, there are actually, it's 24, 25, what's the number?
It's 24.
24 authors that actually got together and put this book together, and it just published.
Yes. Sunday was the official release date, and Monday they became #1 best-selling authors.
Listen, you heard it here on the Authors Lounge. We have the first publishing of this anthology, and they're already bestsellers. So
yes.
It doesn't get any better than that, right?
Right.
Well, Andrea, thank you, Alondria. Thank you so much for bringing this group to us for this premiere show. I am so excited to be able to talk to them. And guys, you out there in the audience, you are going to hear from 8 of them. We couldn't bring all 30 because you would be here till midnight. So we brought 8 of the authors that are going to come on and they're going to share. And we have the creator of the book, Erica Warren, who is also going to share her inspiration and her motivation. So thank you, Alondria. Now, you guys don't go anywhere because we're going to come right back after this commercial. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back. So here's this is the joy. Thank you guys for coming back. Now, earlier today, I had an opportunity to talk with Alondria, and we decided we were going to do some book giveaways. And so we had a couple of contests that kind of went on pre-show. And so you are going to have an opportunity until the show ends to actually participate and be a recipient of one of these free books. Remember, it's a bestseller. You want to get one of these books. So here are the contests. First one is that you have to go onto our Instagram page, DreamSpire Books, and follow us. How simple is that? Go to Instagram, DreamSpire Books, follow us. The second contest, because we had 4, the second contest was to go to our DreamSpireBooks.com website. I want you to find the spotlighted authors and tell us who they are. Again, simple, right? The third contest was to go to DreamSpireBooks.com. While you're there, go ahead and subscribe. That way you have an opportunity to get alerted whenever we have these fabulous authors coming on to the show, and you have an opportunity to hear about some books that you might not have heard about. And now, the final contest, which we're announcing on this show, and that is to go to our I went somewhere. This is, today's technology and Zoom and StreamYard and all of these people that are using this, you never know what's going to happen. So just hang in there with us and we'll get this together. So Alondria, thank you so much, guys. You have an opportunity to win a free book. And so now we are going to go and meet these authors. So yes. Alondria, thank you so much. But don't you go anywhere because she's going to monitor the comments. So if you have a comment, definitely post something in the comment section. We will make sure that we get your question answered. We will make sure that we get to you, whatever it is that you're requesting. So make a comment, enjoy the show, and just sit back and listen to these fabulous authors' stories.
Yes.
So now I guess we're going to have a commercial. Hey guys, what you see now is an opportunity for you to follow us on YouTube, follow us on DreamSpire TV, DreamSpire Books on Facebook, and then go to the website, dreamspirebooks.com. So there are opportunities for you to connect with us. Join in, connect with us. You heard it in the theme song. And our first group of authors that we're going to hear from is Miss Erica Warren.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I can hear you. How are you guys today?
great. How are you?
I am doing
Hello,
fabulous.
how are you?
Awesome. This is, it's one of these days where you just have to, in this time that we're in, you excuse technology and you just keep it rolling.
Yep. Yep. Just act
So
like
I wanna
that didn't
chat-
even happen.
There you go. Exactly. And then you just go, hey, it's technology. What can you do?
Right.
So Miss Erica, tell us how this book came about in spite of it all.
I came up with the title in spite of it all because a lot of times in life, a lot of things that we go through, we sometimes stop and let those things take us off of our path, things that we want to do, things that we've planned for ourselves. In many instances, we will give up. We may start out with the best intentions. Something goes all the way wrong or all the way left against what we had planned. And some of us will either give up or we'll go in a whole nother route, thinking that that wasn't for us. Got a bad echo. Am I echoing?
Not now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got a bad connection.
We do.
We lost the host again.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can see you and hear you now.
Okay. It's so interesting that you chose that title because we do, have a tendency of letting things get to us to a point where we go, you know what? I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just done.
Yeah. We'll chalk it up to even God. We'll say, well, I guess God's telling me this ain't for me.
Mm-hmm.
We're blaming on him sometime.
Exactly. And
but I wanted to give that message that, and the group of women that came together in spite of it all, they got through all of that. And my favorite saying is, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Oh, we lost her again. Yeah.
how did you get this group of women together? Now, this is 24 women that you had to get together and give them deadlines and get their stories in. So I know that was not an easy assignment.
The power and the magic of social media. Over the years, I've learned to master that thing and to learn how to connect with people. I actually met Alondria through social media and formed a friendship, that way, through the first book project that we did together. And then all the other ladies that have come together on this project, we've all formed friendships, from this. So I think that the anthologies are such an awesome tool to be able to network and meet women, like-minded women.
That is so true. We've got a couple of the authors here with us. And so right now we're going to talk to Latoya Nicole and Catrice Keys. Hi, guys.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Hi,
So,
how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm fabulous. If we can keep this technology thing going here, we'll be fantastic.
I know, right? I know.
So now tell me your portion of the book. What is your story about?
Well, I titled my chapter More Than a Conqueror. And I delve into childhood abandonment by my biological father. I also speak to going through the greater portion of my life thinking that my stepdad was actually my biological father. And then once finding out that he was not, and searching out my biological father and not really being able to connect and have a relationship with him either, it pushed me into a great rebellion, if that makes sense. And I started acting out. I fell into a whole lot of promiscuity, looking for love in all the wrong places, all the wrong faces. I ended up having a child out of wedlock, and it just threw me into a dark place. We don't always know how things in our life affect our children. We really think we're doing what's best for them at the time and not really considering the long haul. And so that's what I spoke to, those things that happened in my life as early on as a child, and how it just kind of maneuvered me throughout life to make some bad decisions, end up in some wrong places. And, in spite of it all, I came out more than a conqueror. And I had to realize who I was outside of all of that. I had to really hone in on my relationship with God. And once I really honed in on that relationship, my relationship with God, that's what drew me out of that dark place. And that's why I entitled my chapter More Than a Conqueror, because I didn't just survive all of that. I thrive now. I thrive. I'm not just surviving. My profession is nursing, and we see a lot of people that survive accidents. They're vegetables, but they just survived. They're not living life. They're just there, So I didn't just survive. I'm thriving now. And I really wrote my chapter to let other women know that no matter where you come from, what you went through, you can always overcome those obstacles. Where you start does not mean that's where you're gonna finish, and that's basically what I delve into my chapter.
I think that is so important, because oftentimes I think, we could say women, but people in general, they feel like they're the only ones that are going through a particular situation. Yes. So when you have somebody that's gone through it and they're willing to share it, and to show, to your point, that you didn't just survive, but you thrived through that. And I always say that, through our struggles, we gain our strength.
Exactly. That's so true.
And so your story is just about that. Your struggle allowed you to come out probably much stronger.
Much stronger. Exactly. Much stronger. And I don't regret anything I went through. I always say, had I not gone through those things, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. And I wouldn't be able to tap in and help to be relatable and relevant to other people that are going through that. If you can't tell me how to get out of something if you've never walked through it. So I just feel like, and also I like people to know too, once you start sharing your story, you're going to have people that are going to say, why would you say that? Or why would you bring that out? Or, in my time coming up, they had a saying of what happens in this house stays in this house. And I think that has ruined a lot of people, keeping things secret and not talking about it. And I ran into someone that told me, and I think that was one of the questions you asked is, my story it's about me, but it's not for me.
Mm.
I have the right to share that story, to let other people know, look, it's not because I'm special. It's not because I'm so great that I came out of this. You have to dig in. I had to hone in on my relationship with Jesus Christ. That was first and foremost. I had to develop a prayer life. I had to know him for myself. It's one thing growing up as a child and you hear people talking about it and going to church and living through the rituals. But it's another thing when you obtain your own relationship with him.
Yes.
And that is what really brought me out of the darkness that I was in. And a lot of people look at me now and I tell them some stories of, where I come from that couldn't have been. You couldn't have done that. You could. Yes, I did. They see you now, but they really don't think you went through anything like that.
Right.
And we, as people who thrive and come out of those situations, have to learn that we have to tell it. We have to talk about it. We have to share it.
And you are so, that was one of the pieces that you did write in your questions, was that you have to tell your story and it has to be authentic. You have to tell your authentic story.
You do. You really do.
No, I'm so excited. Guys, you got to read this book. It's available on Amazon and it's a bestseller. So you definitely want to go ahead and get this book. Now, I have to ask you a question because this is one of the questions that was on here. And it said, if you could have dinner with any author, who would it be?
Yes, I looked at it and I pondered over it because, of course, the author that I chose is no longer with us. She's gone on now. But that has to be Maya Angelou. There's nobody else she's the first one that popped in my mind. She was so deep, but at the same time, so transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just right. You would read it. You could hear her voice. It would just resonate in your spirit. Even things now that I read that she's written, I've read it before, but each time I read it, it just brings something new forward. She was just so out of her time and in her time, all at the same time. And for her to be so much older than me, and for me to be able to grab on to her with that wisdom and knowledge. It's just, and it was a whole lot of other people I thought of, but she was number one. There was nobody that can touch Maya. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you. I hear you. It's so funny because when you talk about stories and books, a lot of people go right to Maya Angelou because, to your point, she is like a crossover of all times.
Exactly.
All generations, all times. There is a message, whether you are 12, whether you are 20, whether you are 60. There is a message in which she says, and that is the gift. That's the gift of writing. And that's why I love this program of authors. And so thank you so much for sharing your story with us and for coming on and, just sharing why you wanted this book in the hands of people.
Yes. It's very important. And just on one note of thinking about Maya Angelou is I can always hear her words in my ears and still I rise. No matter what I went through, no matter what I'm going through, it can't hold me down. I'm going to rise. It's inevitable. I've got to rise because God told me that it all works together for my good. So no matter what it is, I'm coming out and I'm coming out winning. And I want other women to know that no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you can come out winning. You just got to have that grit, that tenacity to go after it. It's there for you.
There you go. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about having you guys on, and we're going to talk to Latoya next. Latoya Nicole, who is another one of the authors on In Spite of It All. And we're going to talk to Latoya Nicole. Hey, Latoya. I am having a little problem hearing you. Can you check your mic?
Hear me now?
I can. There you go. I saw lips moving and I said, I know you're saying something.
Yeah, I had to take the headset out.
Okay. Okay. So now you are another one of the contributing authors to this anthology, In Spite of It All. And so tell us a little bit about your story. What is your story in the book?
Well, my story is entitled Prey, Prey, to Devour. And it's mainly about how I did not handle emotional setbacks and disappointment well. Well, I didn't handle them at all in a healthy way. And I would always isolate myself. So I talk a little bit about how isolation loves wounds. And we can't take our wounds and isolate them because depression and suicidal ideations, things like that, only fester in isolation. And the proper way to handle those setbacks is to process them, feel what you're feeling and process it. So that's a little bit about what I speak about and how I came out of that vicious cycle. I did include that as well.
You know, when I think about that, there are often so many times that you go through something traumatic and your first instinct is to repress it, you know, to hold it down, don't tell anybody about it. And then you try to move on in life when you have not dealt with that.
Exactly. And it begins to show up in everything you do when we don't deal with it. Because a lot of the times I think that when we don't deal with stuff, it comes from, like Catrice said, what happens in this stays in this house. So when you hear that, you know that, okay, well, I can't talk about what I'm dealing with because it's embedded in my subconscious that I'm not supposed to talk about what I'm going through because what happens in this house stays in this house. So if you look at if you think of house being your temple, what happens in this house stays in this house. And we begin to, in terms of the point we become adults, unable to effectively communicate how we're feeling.
You know, that's so important, especially today, when you think about we're in COVID-19 and nobody knows how many weeks it's been now. I heard somebody say like 500. I don't know. It's just been a really long time. But, you know, we talk about coping and how are people using coping skills. And so this is a huge, huge piece on, you know, how do you deal with things that you have internally so that you can move forward and move on. And in one of your questions, your answers, you talked about something that I just want to bring to light. And the question was, when did you learn that language had power? And you said that your language had power because it was your pain had language, your tears had language, your prayers had language. So talk a little bit about that, because that is a unique concept of how to think about language having power.
Yes, language definitely has power. When I think about the Bible saying that our tears are bottled up in that moment, because see, how I got out of the vicious cycle, the Lord spoke to me and told me to just let my heart break, because I was holding on to everything and I didn't want to feel it. So he was like, just let your heart break. And in that moment, I began to release it through my tears. And that's when I learned those tears were a language that only God could interpret. And as I let it out, he understood what I was saying to give me the peace and the comfort that I needed in that moment when I was finally breaking out of that vicious cycle. He heard me through my tears, and he was giving me the strategy to break that vicious cycle. And the piece that I wrote about in the book was actually the very last time I was in such a cycle. But yes, our language, tears, that's a language. The unspoken prayers, ones that we don't actually open our mouths to say and we actually write them down, is a powerful language. You know, most of us, we probably have been taught, I know I was, that we had to, you know, get on our knees and say it out loud. But our thoughts is a language that God hears. What we write is a language. So I've always been a writer. I've always journaled. And I think, and this is just me. That journaling kept me, because if I didn't have that modality, I would not be here talking to you right now. So even in that, even in me writing, I felt like it was keeping me, because I was writing myself free in a sense. So definitely, tears, those written prayers, those thoughts that we think, it's all a powerful language, God.
And you know, that is so true. Because oftentimes you think what you're feeling, you know, is something that you just can't put words to. And you know, you kind of figure out, you try to think of how can I express this? And what you're saying is you are already expressing it. You know, it's that within itself. So there's oftentimes not need for words.
Exactly.
So you answered the question about your favorite. If you were to be a crayon color, what would your color be?
Oh yeah. That purple. It's my favorite color. I will say that, but I know it represents other things. Royalty, it represents wisdom, it represents ambition and creativity, and that's all of me. So I would definitely purple.
There you go. Hey, LaToya, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, I am in school to become a belief therapist. I attend Therapon Institute, so I am currently working on that. That's next, because I do want to add that to my business as a life coach, helping other people, get over emotional setbacks. Um, I am going to be a part of another anthology.
Okay.
That's next. And hopefully by 2021, the latter end of it, I will have my own solo project, talking more in depthly about being prey to the devourer.
Well, you know what? I wish you the best. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us your portion of the book. Thank you so much for giving people an opportunity to hear why it was so important for you to be a part of this project. And I want to thank you. Don't you go anywhere. And guys, we're going to go to a commercial break. And then we've got some other authors that we're going to speak to that's also a part of this anthology. So don't you go anywhere. Stay with us. And don't forget, check in on those contests so that you can win a free book. It's a bestseller. Welcome back. Hey, I am so excited to be able to bring these authors to you from In Spite of It All. And I have a contest winner. So Nicole Dudley actually said she is so proud of all of these authors and she can't wait to read the book. So guess what, Nicole? You get a book. Yay! So Nicole, here's what I want you to do. in the comments section, go ahead and put a method of contact for us so that we can email you or we can send it to you. We're going to send it to you, but email us so that we know how to get it to you. And you got a book coming in spite of it all. Yay! I am so excited to have you guys here with us today. So definitely check out our fan page, check out our Instagram, check out our YouTube, and then check out our website. So you will definitely find some authors' books that are listed there. You'll see all of our children's books in addition to books of all genres. So we're going to go ahead and bring our next group of authors up. We're going to talk now to Nicole Jones. We're going to talk to Markesia LeBlanc. Yay. And we're going to talk to Marietta Batiste. Hello. Okay, we're having just an issue or so, but they're coming back. So don't you guys go anywhere. So we have Marietta Batiste and we have Markesia LeBlanc and then Nicole Jones.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I am actually traveling.
So you are in the midst of traffic.
Yes, I am. I thought that I was ready at 5:45, and I knew I needed to get to do the. It's okay. We're gonna roll with it. We can get over it in spite of it all, right?
There you go. That is the true testament.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being flexible and gracing us with this opportunity. So tell us about your portion of the book.
Yes. Okay. So the title was "My Heart Was for My Good," and my portion is is about divorce. Coming out of divorce, not really understanding why it happened, and realizing that it was necessary for who you were becoming in God. And how sometimes God will use something like a divorce when there is no when it can hold you from becoming who you're supposed to be for Him. And that's basically what I wrote the book about.
So you literally share some really personal stuff when you're talking about divorce and being in a marriage, and then you are actually sharing this. And one of the things that you said you wanted readers to walk away with is strength and courage. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So I talk to a lot of women, and it's funny how you'll go through something and then those who are going through it automatically find you. You don't go looking for them. It's as if they are supernaturally, divinely routed to you. And what I would find, I'm always a very optimistic person. There's not much that can get me down. And I would find that people would come to me and they're going through a divorce and they would be stuck right there in that emotion and in that pain. And for me to tell them, listen, let me explain to you really what happened, because they would come with whatever their story was. And I'm like, okay, but was there a child born in this marriage? Because see, if you wasn't having to go to Target and buy Christmas gifts for somebody else's child that magically appeared on your step, right? And you didn't want that child not to have Christmas gifts because your children were going to have them, then what you're telling me doesn't even equate to pain. And I'm still laughing. I'm still happy. I'm still joyous. I still expect God to restore. So can you. So I wanted to make sure that women knew that this wasn't the end of the world for them, and they could find that strength and that courage to move forward.
That is so important, because I also am a divorcee, and I understand that journey of having an identity when you're in a marriage. And then you have, an identity after the marriage, but it takes you a minute to, I don't want to say regain your identity, because you are a new person. So to develop or reinvent yourself to whereas you feel good about your life now.
Well, divorce is a self-esteem.
So
it'll knock the wind out of you.
It truly, truly will. You said the greatest piece of advice that you received as an author was to tell your truth.
Yeah. I think that there is so much healing in transparency. And I think it was Latoya, maybe Beatrice, that touched on it earlier. We're taught, particularly as Black women and women growing up of color, what goes on in your house stays in your house. And that's sometimes very detrimental, because those things, first of all, listen to that. What goes on in this house stays in this house. That lets you know it's a mess going on in the house, first off, anyway. I mean, whoever came up with that is like, when you listen to it, and we have spread this through generations of people. And that's mess. That's dysfunction at its best. It is so much healing and authenticity that it is amazing, because if God trusts you with certain situations, God knows who he can trust with that. If he's trusted you to go through that pain, trust me, he's going to use it, and he's going to empower you to move forward in it. It's so much strength in that.
That is so important, because I think you sharing your story is going to allow other women to know too. Again, in spite of it all, which this book is so, appropriate for life itself. Because in spite of it all, we have to get up the next day and understand that tomorrow does come.
Yes.
And so, I thank you for sharing your story. And then I have to ask you this, because I went to look up her books. I can't remember if I had heard about her before. One of your favorite authors that you would like to have had dinner with was Susan Taylor.
Absolutely. I read a Susan Taylor book. I was about 21 years old. Susan Taylor was the former editor of Essence magazine for years. Her first book that she wrote was In the Spirit. And as a 21-year-old who didn't know really who she was in Christ, had grown up in church, but you don't know who you are until Christ reveals himself to you. And so her book In the Spirit talked about just that you are a spirit being first. And there's a way that you should carry yourself as a spirit being. You shouldn't really respond to things as the natural, but just carrying yourself and walking in the spirit. And it was really transforming for me. And I didn't know at 21 that God would use it when at 48, that I would have a full understanding of what that meant, what walking in the spirit actually means.
I applaud you for sharing this information with people, because what you go through when you go through a divorce is something that it's heavy. It is truly heavy on you. And a lot of times I think women are just, at a point where they just don't want to do anything. You don't want to find the next mate. You're like, I'm done. I'm over it. And I went through that stage too. I'm like, look, obviously I make bad choices, so I am done.
Yeah.
But, and so, you are now at a point where you describe yourself. If we were to look in the dictionary, you describe yourself as tenacious, and I can see that, and I can hear that in your voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that's something that you had to get to.
Well, I'll tell you what, like I said earlier, I'm one of those people that I'm a natural overcomer. But again, divorce is something, or watching somebody pack their stuff and move out of the house. I don't care what the circumstances are. That's devastating to any woman. But I remember I was laying in the bed and my stomach was bothering me. And then it's almost like the Spirit himself said, listen, this will not kill you. You will not get sick from this. Get up, get dressed, and get out of this house. Okay. And that's what I did. I went to walk around the mall. I started to laugh with folks, and it's almost as if God himself was sending people to me to ask something or to almost distract me from where I was. So they may ask about, is this shirt cute? Girl, yeah. I started having a full conversation with them. I could not focus on myself. I didn't have time to sit and cry. He didn't let me. Get up, because really who I birthed you for was for me. You have a job and an obligation to me first. Get up, get out of this bed, get dressed and get out of this house. Okay. Who am I to argue with God?
There you go. I often say that, you have an assignment.
Yes.
And when you operate on assignment, then he sends people to you that will help you get to those next levels and to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So I think your message in the book is going to be so inspirational for women. And what I'm hearing from all of you authors is that everyone is coming from a different place. And that's what makes this such a great collection of stories, is that when you get the book, you could be at a certain place on 1 month, and then the next month you're at a different place, but there is a story that's being shared that will allow you the ability to be able to get, to move on.
Yeah.
And get up, like you said, get up, like I said, get up, rise and shine, and understand that you're worth it.
That's right. That's right. We are
Nicole,
royalty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
there
I'm
you
sorry
go.
I wasn't
Thank you so much. And you were getting ready to. That's okay. You were getting ready to deliver a message, and I don't want to cut that message off because you were going somewhere. So you said we are royalty. So I'm gonna let you finish that, and then we'll chat with Markeisha.
Yeah, we are royalty, and a lot of times we don't. Situations that come along and they'll kick us, or they'll shake our identity. And it doesn't matter what happens. And that is the purpose of it. The purpose is to keep you stuck. But when you realize who you are, you get up, get dressed, and get out of the house. Get on whatever your journey is, get on it. Keep moving forward. Because if you're not dead, you got another day to move.
There you go.
That's it.
And on that note, we're going to talk to Markeisha because I don't think you can say anything beyond that. Get up, get going, and keep it moving. Thank you so much. Hey, we're going to chat with Markeisha LeBlanc.
Markeisha LeBlanc.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Markeisha, you know what? And I wrote it phonetically on one sheet of paper, and then I didn't transfer it over to the other sheet.
It's okay.
So thank you for being patient. There's a lot of you guys on here.
Yes. Patience is one of the fruits of the
Markeisha, tell us about your story.
My story is more so listening to the Holy Spirit, and not only listening to the Holy Spirit, but being obedient to what he tells you. And if you don't, you will obviously reap the consequences. So it's just it's almost like we hear the Holy Spirit and then we're like, no, I know what I feel right now at this moment. This is awesome. This is great. So I'm gonna continue to do what I want. I know you want me to be happy, God, so I'm happy. But in the end, he's giving you red flags. He's even had people talk to you about certain things and giving you confirmation not to walk into what you're about to walk into. So that's what my story is mainly about.
So what I'm hearing is it's literally about hearing the word of God and not hearing your own voice and just being silent.
Deciphering between the two. So understanding that if you learn how to, if we learn how to just hear what God is saying and not only believe like, yeah, I'm all that, I go to church every Sunday or whatever the case may be, I read the Bible every day, I know what I'm doing, I know God knows my heart, instead of actually doing what he says to do or listen to what he say do, or red flags and not ignore the red flags, then we won't reap or go through certain situations or go through certain doors that we don't have to go through, or go through certain or deal with certain people we don't have to deal with. A lot of times we think this person was supposed to be in our lives
when they weren't supposed to be in our lives. It was God trying to shut that door, but yet you open it thinking this was going to bring my happiness, or when you're supposed to be happy within yourself first to know how to receive certain answers from God.
You know, that is so important, because you wrote something to this in your question, in the answer to the question. And you said that we take care of the outside and we make it really pretty. And, you know, people think that, you know, things are fine. But what about the inside?
Exactly. What about our spirit, man? Like, are we taking care of our spirit? Are not only do we feed our body, are we feeding our spirit? Are we making sure that we're filled up with God? Are we laying at the feet of Jesus and actually being spiritually fed by him? Even though we can be beautiful on the outside, what about the inside? Are we giving things to God? Are we, you know, casting our cares onto him so we won't be weighed down? I mean, I can be all gorgeous, but go home every night and just be depressed, sad. But yet I'm speaking in front of people, I'm talking to people, encouraging them. But what about me? I need to fill me up as well. I'm drained. But a lot of people, they always tell me, how am I supposed to fill myself up? I don't know what that is. What do you mean? I don't know how to fill myself up. Okay, so let's start at the basics. You said you read the Bible, but you don't understand it. So if you just communicate with God, God talks to us in many different ways, through different people, through different things. Let's start at the basics. Let's communicate with God first and actually give him time during the day. We give everything else time. Let's at least give him 30 minutes. Let's start off with 30 minutes and just talk to him like you're talking to someone else, and then go from there.
You know, that is so important. So I'm a trainer and a coach. And one of the things that I talk about is, how do you start your day?
Okay.
You know, I think that is one of the most important pieces of any day, is how you start it and how you end it.
That's
so
true.
How you start your day, you know, and having that conversation, having that moment of devotion where it's just you and him. And I think when you start to have those conversations, you now start to recognize his voice when he's talking to you.
Exactly.
And it gets clearer, because you're like, oh, wait a second. No, that's my voice. That's not the one I'm supposed to hear.
Exactly.
I'm listening for the other voice.
Exactly. And then he speaks to us differently. Like, he may speak to my sister through, a lot of times through prophets, but he may speak to me through visions. A lot of times I get visions of just like one random object. I'm like, okay, God, what does that mean, Father? Seriously, what does that mean? And then a couple of days go by, he shows me, like, oh my goodness. It's to where he's actually led me to certain places and people and things through just one object in a vision. He speaks to us differently, but you will have to get into his presence to understand his voice, like you said.
Exactly. You know, you said, I asked you as a question, what is the greatest piece of advice that you ever received as an author?
And I said that I need to basically get the book out, because it's really not about me anymore. It's for someone else. And if I never write the book, or if I never write the song, it goes for everyone. If you never do the TV show, that person or the people that was meant to hear what you had to say won't hear it. So it's not about me anymore. It's about so many other men and so many other women. So if I don't do it, God's going to give it to someone else.
Yeah. You know, and I think when you realize that the gift that you have is truly not for you, it's for others, you know, then you have a better idea as to what the plan is for you and what the assignment is for you. So I thank you for sharing your story also, and what it's going to do for other women and what it's going to do to touch them. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Did you have any message that you want to deliver before we go to Marietta Batiste?
I do want to say one thing. I want everybody to realize, not just women, but men as well. Not only should we be physically healthy, we should make sure we're mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and spiritually healthy. So that's one thing I do want to say, to take care of our full self.
Yeah, you know, because the reality is, if as they say, if your tank is empty, then you can't help anyone else.
Exactly. You said it best. Thank you so much.
this book. I don't know. You don't listen. Guys, you had an opportunity in a contest to win this book. If you don't get the contest and you don't go to either DreamSpire Books on Instagram and follow us, or go to the DreamSpireBooks.com website and subscribe, or go to the DreamSpiresBook.com website and find out who the 3 spotlight authors are, or if you don't go to our Facebook and join, then that means you're going to leave a book available. And guess what? I'm taking it. I'm just saying. But I am so excited to have this book on the Authors Lounge. And I am very, very excited to have these authors here. And we have one final author that we are going to hear from. And she has been very patient. And she's sitting back and she's like, okay, my turn is coming. It's going to be before midnight, I'm sure. So
That's okay.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine. How are you?
Hey, so tell us about your portion. I am doing great. I am loving this. I love being able to share stories with people that might not have heard about the book, people that just, are looking for something that's going to help them in their life to get to that next level. And so
Yes,
I know that this is one of those books that will do that. So I applaud all of you women for getting together and sharing your souls and your experiences in this book. And so tell us about your portion of the book. What is your story about?
My story is called Baggage She Carry. In life, everybody have baggage they carry and they hide and carry around, and they may carry. People may think they're carrying good, but deep down inside, it may be something real big. But my story is actually talking about someone that I lost. They were very close to me, to death, to murder. We was actually engaged, and he ended up getting killed. He was engaged to get married, and I just fell into, once all that happened, I fell into a depression. I fell into suicide, and nobody knew. Nobody never knew about it.
Okay. So tell me, what is the message that you want women to get from your portion of the story?
Stand in your truth. Your truth, your story may help the next person. You may think it won't help that person, but it will. Everything I went through was necessary. Everything people go through be necessary. Turn your tests into testimonies. Your testimony can help others. Your testimony can uplift others. You may be somebody you see every day. You never know what they're going through, but while you talking to them and telling them what you're going to deal with can help them come out of their dark place.
That is so true. Again, and this has been like the common thread for all of you authors, has been sharing your story to help people understand that they're not alone and that they can move beyond their circumstances. So I don't want to rush through you, but for the sake of time, I have one final question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had the ability to have dinner with any author, who would it be?
David Weaver, the one who wrote Broken Crayon but Still Color.
Ah, okay. I've heard of that book. I can't remember the premise of it, but I have heard of that book. So now I'm going to have to look that book up. And guys, you are too, because if you haven't heard of it, look that book up.
Yes, I love it.
Hey, so thank you so much for being on with us. I am so excited to have you on. We're going to bring Miss Erica back on, and then we are going to say goodnight.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Hey guys, I am so excited to be able to have brought you the authors from In Spite of It All. And the creator here is Miss Erica Warren. Erica, thank you so much for bringing this book to light. Thank you for all of the coordination. I know that was not easy, getting 24 individuals together to be able to finish this. And Alondria Lloyd, working with her, I'm sure has been instrumental in making this happen. So I just want to thank you all for being here on the Authors Lounge. We do some book giveaways. Nicole Dudley is going to get a book. We've got 2 more books available, guys. So you still have time after the show to go ahead and do what you need to do to be able to get this book. So, Erica,
Yes.
thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say to the audience before you go, other than the fact, oh my gosh, the book is available on Amazon? We didn't go
Yes.
there. Your book is available on Amazon. Is it anywhere else?
Yes, all of the ladies we all have our own individual platforms that we're selling the books. So if any of the ladies that you've seen in the broadcast today, you can follow them on Facebook. If their story in particular touched you, follow them on Facebook, and you can purchase the book personally from them and get it autographed. When you purchase it from our websites, you get that extra perk that you don't get through Amazon. You can get it personally autographed, from one of the ladies. So that's the perk of buying it from us directly. But I just want to thank all of the ladies for being open and transparent and sharing painful parts of their lives, because it's not easy, because you definitely have to relive that stuff in order to put it on paper. So I thank them. I thank Alandria for being the backbone of the group and getting this all together, getting it coordinated, and taking the vision and making it real.
Thank you so much. You guys have a fabulous evening. As I said, I'm getting the book. I'm just going to go to Amazon. Matter of fact, I want an autographed copy. I don't want an Amazon copy. I want an autographed copy. So I'm going to one of the platforms and I'm going to actually get the book. But you ladies have a fabulous evening. Thank you so much for being on our kickoff show for the Authors Lounge. I am so excited to have you guys. This has been a fantastic opportunity. Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely check back in, because we will have authors of all genres. They will be sharing their hearts, their inspiration, and their motivation with you as to why they wrote these books and they put their hearts on paper. So definitely follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, join our Facebook page. We also have an opportunity for you to be a part of our fan page. So DreamSpire TV, DreamSpire Books, find us. We are everywhere, so you can find us, and have a fabulous evening. Thank you so much. My name is Cheryl Mays, and I am your host of the Authors Lounge. Have a fabulous evening.